Alrighty, so I'm going to move towards my mat. Like I said, we're going to start in that supported pose that we've been working on. We will do a little bit of everything as usual, a little bit more focus on the legs, some feet and hand stuff today, and hopefully get our low back stretched out. So we'll start in our supported pose. A bigger pillow would be great, or if you have a bolster to place underneath the legs towards the front of your mat. I have some other things lined up, so my washcloth, eye covering, a bath towel, my little meditation cushion, and that strap. But you can just put all that stuff towards the side here. And then if you want to add the lift underneath the spine, you can either use a bath towel and fold it into a rectangle. I've been using my one of my quilts, which I start with it folded into this long rectangle. I then take it and fold it in half. So it's a smaller rectangle. And then I fold this long edge to long edge. So I have a nice long rectangular shape. I'm going to take this and place it towards the top of my mat. Now, depending on how much support you do want for that low back, some people find it comfortable to slide that support right up into the sacrum. It will elevate a little bit. Others like to slide it away, maybe one fist or one hand's distance so that that low back can sink towards the ground. So you will just maneuver yourself and kind of play with moving that blanket further out or further in, depending what's best for your back. We will sit on the ground. I'll go over our leg options here in a moment, but use your hands, slowly come down to those elbows, situate yourself. So when we're on this lift, and depending on how narrow your rectangle is as well, our shoulders can kind of just fall off to the sides here. If the head needs more support, take that blanket, tuck it under one more time, or simply add a smaller pillow or towel underneath the head. We want to let that low back do lengthen out. We'll drop our elbows out to the sides of the shoulders and our cactus arms. So the elbows are bent, and try to let the hands fall towards the ground. And like I was saying the other day in class, I'm not sure if it was you all, but I don't know what I did, but I got an impingement in this left shoulder. And normally my hands easily touch the ground, but my left side isn't doing that today. So if you have the same experience and it's due to tight muscles or little impingement, just slide yourself around so that you can be in a comfortable position and still getting this chest and heart opening. Arms open in Shavasana, totally acceptable as well. Now, a couple reminders for the legs. For those low backs, generally it feels a little better to keep your knees bent up. Even if you have the pillow, you can tuck that behind those knee creases. Plant the soles of the feet, let the knees fall together. If you want to go right into that hip opening, we'll draw the soles of the feet to touch and allow those knees to open. And again, the support of the pillow will help take a little bit of that big stretch away, depending what feels best. Or simply stretch those legs out into Shavasana. So we'll all get organized here, wiggle around, loosen up the clothing, adjust those ponytails. And then when we're in our place, we'll close our eyes. Let's take a nice big breath right away in our practice. So inhale through the nose. Let's fill ourselves up this morning. And on our next exhale, start to feel the whole body relax, letting go of any tension and tightness in the muscles. Again, nice big breath to start off our practice. Inhale, breathing. And on the exhale, just feel a sense of letting go, a sense of surrender. Let the weight of the body sink towards the ground. And then as usual, we'll start with a little mental scan of our body. So start to feel the body here. Notice the whole body from the crown of the head to the fingertips and toes. We're consciously continuing to let go of any unnecessary tension we might find, especially around the face. So soften the forehead, let the eyes relax. Poof those cheeks with air, wiggle out the mouth. We'll feel that lifting across the chest and the heart for those of us that are elevated So let those shoulders and elbows and the hands as much as they can sink to the ground. Relax down the back of the body. Soften and relax the front of the body. So let's soften the abdominal muscles. Maybe notice that subtle rise and fall of the belly with the breath. Same thing around the hips and the hip sockets. Release any tightness in that area of the body. And let a quality of heaviness come over the legs as well as we move all the way down through the knees into the ankles, the feet, and toes. If, like me, you noticed an area in the body that's a little out of whack, or maybe we'll need a little extra attention this morning, let's pause on any of those areas. Send a nice healing breath into them. And as we exhale, allow all of those areas to relax. Remembering we never force or push our body into a pose. And we want to bring in a quality of santosha or contentment into our practice. Being content wherever we are today on our mats. We'll continue to let our body relax as we start to spread awareness now to the rhythm of the natural breath. Simply watch the body breathe. Noticing the quality of our breath this morning. Any subtle movements of the body with the breath. Any sounds that the breath might be making. Maybe the difference in temperature between the inhale and exhales. And also notice the flow of the breath today from the left nostril to the right nostril. And just observe. You might notice that one side feels a little bit more open than the other. That's totally normal. And remember that we're making these observations without labeling any of it good or bad. Just simply acting as an observer looking from the outside in. So as we've been doing for the last few classes, focusing on Muladhara chakra, this area is also associated with the pelvic floor, Mula Bandha or root lock. So we'll do a little bit of pranayama work here, trying to wake up those muscles in the lower half of the body, start to gently tone and strengthen this area of the body. You'll move at your own natural rhythm and pace. Continue to breathe as smoothly and evenly as possible in and out through the nose. On our inhale, we'll relax. So you'll allow the abdomen to expand like a balloon. Fill yourself up. On the exhales where we do the work. So just gently in the lower abdominals, just below the navel center, try to contract those muscles in and pull them up. Simultaneously, we want to contract the pelvic floor. And then as we inhale, we relax. So you can soften the pelvic floor muscles and let the abdomen expand. And we'll even feel that expansion through the chest, especially if we're elevated. And the exhale, we do the work. Gently contract the lower abdominals into the body and upwards, and then contract the muscles of the perineum. Give them a little squeeze and a little lift. And let's move through just a few more rounds. Over time, as we improve our quality of our breath and increase our lung capacity, you can start to stretch and lengthen this breath out. So on the inhales, we can try to sip in a little bit more air. Remembering that the exhales are just as important. So when you're contracting and squeezing, we're putting some effort into expelling all that stale old air and energy out of the body. And let's all move through one more complete cycle of breath. Big breath in to expand, to relax the muscles so they can stretch. And whenever we get to that next exhale, this will be our strongest contraction. And really try to empty, empty, empty every drop out. Pull that belly in and up. Give the pelvic floor a nice squeeze. And at the bottom of that exhale, we will let go of trying to follow and control the breath for a moment. So inhale, breathing, relax everything, and let the breath just wander wherever it wants. And then we'll slowly come back to the physical body, feeling the body more relaxed now. Let's start to wake it up. So give the toes a little wiggle. Wake up the fingertips. Depending where our head is in space, we can rock the head side to side here. And then we'll move into our long body stretch. So if our knees are open in Baddha Konasana, let's float those knees up. We'll extend our legs down the middle of our mat. Over the pillow is fine. And then again, be mindful with the shoulders, depending on how elevated we are. Let's try to stretch the arms overhead as far as they'll go. Now point and flex the feet a couple times. Start spreading those toes, spread the fingers. If your legs are up on a pillow, your feet might even float up in the air. You'll feel a little gentle arch in the low back. And we'll stretch from side to side and front to back. Taking one more big breath in. On our next exhale, walk those feet in. Again, depending how high up we are, just carefully pull the knees up a little bit. We'll roll over to our side, right side if possible, in sleeping baby pose. Just pause for a moment. And then press into the ground, coming up just enough to slide our props off our mat. We will lie back down on the ground again today, and we'll start with some of these fluid movements, improving our coordination, getting our brain to wake up every muscle in our body. So once we clear our space, just lie flat back down on the ground. Again, take a moment here to loosen things up and realign the head in line with the spine. Tuck those shoulders under. Stretch both legs out down the middle of the mat and bring the legs and feet as close together as possible. Arms come down beside the body, palms down. Water pump pose with the breath. On our inhale, we'll reach the arms up to the ceiling, all the way back overhead in our long body stretch. Flex your feet, toes to shins, spread the toes. On the exhale, point your toes forward, pump those arms back down beside you, but put some effort into this. So start hugging those muscles to the bone. Inhale, flex the feet, spread the toes, reach overhead. The exhale, feel some strength here. Point the toes, pump the arms. So start to pull that low belly in again. And you just follow your breath. We don't all have to move at the same rhythm. Inhaling, big stretch. Now on this next exhale, we want to add a little bit of abdominal work. Pull that low belly in, pump the arms, and float the head up, looking to your toes. So just a little strengthening there. And then on the inhale, relax the head and reach overhead. So we're improving our circulation here. Water pump pose pumps the blood through the whole body. It also is getting our brain to focus on that coordination from our fingertips to our toes. And we'll take one more. We'll meet on the inhale with the arms overhead. Now we're going to move into flowing wind relieving pose, Pavanamuktasana. So once we take our inhale with the arms overhead, our next exhale, pull the belly in, bend your right knee up first. Continue to pump the arms strongly back down beside you. The head can continue to lift. Feet are flexed or pointed. Inhale with control, re-extend the arms and the leg. Exhale, use the core, pull the left knee in. If you're lifting the head, draw nose towards the knee. Inhale, reach overhead. So keep moving side to side, right to left. Warming the muscles around the hips. Again, a little abdominal work. And some strengthening for the arms. Nice, strong exhales. So let's do one more to each side. One more to your right side, one more to the left. After you finish the left side, whenever we get there, we'll meet on the inhale again. So we'll stretch the arms overhead, stretch the legs out. Next exhale, we'll pull the right knee in, but this time, interweave all 10 fingers to your shin bone or behind the knee if that's better for the knee. Keep the head, the shoulders down on the ground. Flatten out that low back. So we're gonna hold and breathe here. On the inhale, Try to inflate the abdomen. On our exhale, gently pull the right knee towards the right shoulder or armpit. So it does move off to the side just a little bit, but keep your left side anchored. Couple more breaths. So on the inhale, you can back off a little bit. Exhale, gentle pulling. Shoulders down, elbows pull in, the hands do the work. So you'll feel a stretch across the front of this hip. This is a nice pose to also help release tension in the low back that stretches out from that low back. On our next inhale, whenever you get there, we'll release the leg so you can drop the foot to the floor and slide it out. Arms reach overhead so all that blood can rush back out. Use your core, bend the left knee up. And we vault in, fingers on the shin bone. Maybe take your funky grip. Place the opposite pinky in front. The inhale, we try to inflate the abdomen because this pose does work with our digestive system. On the exhale, gently pull left knee towards that left shoulder or armpit. Inhales can back off a little bit. And then exhale, stretch out that hip, compress that left side. Right leg stays anchored to the ground. Feet might be soft, or you can flex or actively point them. Face should be relaxed. One more breath. Next inhale, releases the leg. Stretch it all the way back out. Arms reach back overhead, big stretch. Exhale, let's float those arms down beside us. Walk the feet in towards the sit bones. Those of you that have yoga blocks, feel free to place your yoga block between your inner thighs on its low setting. We'll do one more flowing movement here with our bridge pose. Make sure your shoulder blades are tucked under, feet parallel, knees pointing towards those toes. Now tighten and strengthen the back side of the body, the glutes, and on the inhale, press down through the backs of the arms and the feet to lift the hips up. And our exhale, lowering back down. Keep your head in a nice neutral position. The drishti can be on one spot in the ceiling. If we don't have a prop between those inner thighs, we still keep some energy there. And when we lift up, we want to track hips to knees and knees to toes. Now, if we want to add a little shoulder massage here, on the inhale, tighten and squeeze to lift. Arms come up overhead, remembering that the weight moves into the meaty part of the shoulders, not the neck. And on the exhale, when we lower down, the arms come back down. So wonderful pose to help counter the sitting and also tone and strengthen those back muscles, which is also important to keep that back healthy. Let's flow through one more with our breath, whatever variation you're choosing to do, nice mindful movement. Whenever we get to our next exhale, we'll catch up there with the arms and the hips down. Just rock your knees gently side to side. And then draw those knees back up into the body. Rock across that low back here. Hands to knees or those shin bones. And then bring the right arm beside the head. Let's roll over to our right side. Pausing for a moment in our sleeping baby pose to regulate our blood pressure. Bring the left hand to the ground, heart can turn towards the ground. Stretching that top leg forward can help our body come up. And good morning again. So we did some nice fluid movements. Hopefully we get things woke up here. We will be in our seated pose, so I would recommend sitting up on your folded blanket, a towel, yoga block, whatever works for you, even the edge of a chair. We want to sit up tall on those sit bones. Take easy cross, Sukhasana, or continuing with our awareness in the pelvic floor, we can also take Siddhasana, which is a heel-to-heel alignment, drawing one heel right up into the pelvic floor, perineum, and then the other heel stacks in front of it. Now, if you're lifted a little higher up, you won't quite make that connection, but if you're on the floor, you can. Just be as comfortable as possible. Let those hips open. We'll extend our arms out, palms up. Another nice deep breath in, just reaching those arms up to the ceiling. Take a big stretch. Turn those palms out. Exhale, fingertips to the floor. So we will go through our spinal movements today, but we're gonna hold the pose instead of flowing side to side. So seated triangle, pull in through that low belly. Inhale the right arm up. Now remember, you want to keep your right sit bone rooted so that you're pulling the upper half of the body as you ground the lower half. We'll lean over to our left. We'll hold this pose today. So there can be a little weight in the left hand here. We should be in this lateral plane, and the head is a natural extension of the spine. Both sit bones are rooted. Continue to lift up through those lower bandhas to support the low back. Now there's a little bit of movement we can add here. So on the exhale, you can look down towards that left knee and reach your top arm slightly forward. That's going to give you a bigger stretch for that shoulder blade in the upper back. We can also spiral the heart open and upwards, drawing the top shoulder backwards and looking up, and that will stretch more of the chest. So we'll take a couple more breaths here. Feel free to move forward and back or stay in your lateral plane. Feel that lengthening through the waist, the rib cage. So before we release the pose, we all want to come back into the lateral plane. So back into lateral extension, facing forward. And our inhale will pull us up. We'll switch sides. So the left arm will come up and we'll exhale, lean it to the right. Now really push down through that hip so that you're pulling the upper half as you ground the lower half. Leaning sideways, head in line with the spine. From here, we can take it a little bit forward into that forward flexion. Feels really nice around that shoulder blade, looking slightly down. Or if we have a lot of tightness through that front of the chest, pulling that top arm back, opening up the heart. And then we'll all just kind of explore this pose a little bit, see what feels best. Maybe it's a little bit of both. So we'll all come back into our lateral plane, looking forward. Use your muscles to inhale, reach up with both arms now towards the ceiling. Bring those palms to touch and exhale the hands to the heart. So if we're sitting cross-legged, we want to switch up those legs so the opposite foot's in front, because we always tend to sit the same way. And we'll take our twist, but we'll hold the twist today as well. So from here, we'll take our right fingertips slightly behind us, flip the left palm up to the ceiling. We'll try starting to rotate to slide the back of our left hand towards the opposite knee. That'll just help keep that left shoulder open. Continue to lengthen through the crown. And then on the exhale, we'll start to continue our twisting through the shoulders, the neck, the head. And use your eyes in the twist. So open your eyes as wide as possible and use your peripheral vision to look as far as you can behind you. It's really healthy for our eyes. They work really hard for us. Continue to keep both sit bones rooted. Now take a breath in. On this exhale, turn just the head to look forward. So the body is still twisting to the right. Good. Now try to peek over your left shoulder. So the head is actually counter twisting away from the body. We'll take one more breath in. And on the exhale, we'll release. So you'll bring the head and the body to face back forward. Inhale, reach everything up. Palms touch. Exhale to center. So other side, left fingertips are going to float behind us. There's no leaning back on that hand. We're propping ourselves up through the core. Right palm faces up to the ceiling. Little rotation to our left. Try to slide the back of the hand over the outer knee. If it doesn't make it today, don't worry about it. Keep your shoulders and chin parallel. The exhale, we can start to go a little further, rotating through the shoulders, the neck, the head. Let's stretch our eyes for a couple more breaths. Open them wide, peek behind you. One more breath in. Hold the twist in the body. Exhale, turn the head to face forward. And then breathe and gently try to peek over your right shoulder. And if you drop the chin down slightly here, that's okay. It'll give you a little different stretch up the back of the neck. If that doesn't feel comfortable, keep the chin parallel to the floor. Breathe it in. And then exhale, release the head and the body, come back to center. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, bring those palms together. So let's do a little seated work here. We were doing this with the legs, but we're going to add our hands as well and kind of do some articulation to the hands and fingers. So just float your knees up. Give your legs a stretch out in front of you. We can start with the knees bent. You can just wiggle, massage down those legs, or take your palms or fists and give those legs a little slapping massage here to get the blood flowing. And then we will sit up nice and tall in Dandasana. We can stay on our prop. Just make sure that we don't hyperextend the knees. Now this puts a lot of effort. If you take care of your low back, just bend your knees. It's okay if the legs don't straighten out today. It's better to keep our spine in neutral and don't stress the low back muscles. However, over time, if you're able to get them a little straighter without collapsing the back, you're welcome to do so. So we'll do the articulation with the feet and add the hands today. So this is good for our brain as well. So we want to start, you just float your hands up about shoulder height, spread your fingers and spread those toes. And you're pulling all of your toes in one line, including the pinky toes. Breathe it in. Now in this exhale, I want you to curl up through your fingertips and your toes. Pretend like you're digging your fingertips into some dough and you're really squeezing through it. You're going to make a nice strong fist. Now my toes are curled and I'm going to point my toes forward and I'm going to take my fists and just round them forward. Now on the inhale, spread the toes first and the fingers and open them up. Move through the knuckles of the hands. Pull your palms up, pull them back, the toes pull back. So on the exhale, I want you to knead those fingertips, really grip into that dough, curl your toes up. You'll point the toes forward and you'll drop your wrists forward. Inhale, open the toes and fingers first and really again, try to expand through the knuckles. Pull it back. One more. Exhale, knead and curl, 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 curl. Nice strong hands. Point and round forward, good. And then one more time. As you open up, reach up to those fingertips. Nice and slow. Pull your toes back, pull those fingers back. And then exhale, let it go. Good job. So you feel that strength in the hands. So let's flip ourselves around. We'll come into our tabletop, give our legs and body a nice stretch. And then we'll do some hand work here. Some of the things that I'm going to show today with these hands can be quite intense. So you're really just going to have to pace yourself. I will give you some modifications, but these can be very beneficial for carpal tunnel, tennis elbow, and that type of thing. But just like with anything else, you should be able to smile and breathe. No grimacing. Well, let's just start off with the basics. Spread your fingers, stack your hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Float that head in line with the spine. Do pull that low belly in to support our spine and stretch that right leg back. Toes are tucked under. We're just giving that heel a little push to the ground to stretch out the back of the leg. Breathe it in. Exhale, bring the knee down. The left foot stretches back. Foot to the floor, pressing that heel back. Keep the weight evenly balanced in both hands. Nice strong arms. Breathe it in. Exhale, bring it down. So Hasta Bandha, which I often give some modifications for wrists, is a really nice way to strengthen the hands as well. So it's like you're holding on to a big red apple in your hand, so your knuckles are rounding, you're driving the fingertips to the floor. So if you don't use this as a modification for the wrist, you can use this throughout your practice to strengthen there, or flat palms, or those fists for wrists. Let's do a couple cat-cows because we haven't done our extension and flexion yet. So on the inhale, relax the belly. Lift up through the tailbone, and you're stretching the crown of the head forward and up. We're trying to create space between the vertebrae. Exhale, scoop that tail under, draw the belly in, chin to chest, rounding the back up to the ceiling. And then we'll all follow our breath, breathing up and down the spine. So remember, the gentle back bend is great for bulging or herniated discs, helps counter our forward flexion. The rounding is wonderful to stretch the muscles up and down the back and between the shoulder blades. One more of each. We'll come back to neutral before we get into some of this funky hand work. Let's sit back in our child's pose to stretch out our back. So opening the knees wider than your hips and bringing the big toes to touch will create that space for the belly and the heart. You'll draw those sit bones back to the heels. We can continue to extend our fingertips forward and open the hands wider than the shoulders to give ourselves a chest opening as well. And then we'll sink the belly, the heart, and the head to the ground. Remember, if the head doesn't easily touch the ground, then you can just stack your hands or a prop underneath the forehead. Feel that nice stretch across the whole low back here, all the way down into those hips. This is a nice grounding pose as we are working with this element of being grounded, that sense of security and safety, really feeling our connection to the ground below us. So let's all just take one more nice deep breath here in our child's pose. And then the next inhale, we'll float the head up. Bring our knees back into alignment, step the hands back underneath the shoulders. Walk those hands one hand's distance forward, tucking the toes under, draw that low belly in. Let's stretch out our legs from child's pose and downward facing dog. So shifting that weight back and down through those legs. Look at your feet. They should be parallel to each other, heels dropping equally behind the toes. Let's walk our dog a couple times. So really sink one heel down as you bend the opposite knee. And then switch it up with the breath. Remembering that we are rooting down through the mound of the index finger and thumb, but externally rotating those upper arm bones away from the ears. Bend your knees deeply if you do have tension in the low back. And let's all pause and find some stillness here. Sinking the heels towards the ground, drawing belly to thighs, thighs to the back of the mat. Big breath in, we'll float up on those heels. Tippy toes. And then exhale, we'll drop back down to our knees. So let's stretch out our feet in Padangusthasana and give our wrists a quick break because we are going to do this hand work. So what we'll try to do is walk our hands back towards us, sitting back in broken toe pose. So powerful pose, wonderful pose to open up the soles of the feet to help that brittleness of plantar fasciitis. So this is a really healthy pose and it can be really intense, I know. If it's a little much, on the knees, just pick yourself up to a kneeling position and put some cushion underneath the knees. And if you need to take breaks, you can, but try to hold on to it. We'll do our praying mantis for our hands and our wrists while we're stretching the feet. So praying mantis brings the four fingers together. You reach towards the ground and you pinch up some earth and you press the four fingers to the thumbs. And then again, you really try to pull those fingertips into the forearms. Big counter stretch for the wrists. And it looks like a praying mantis. Exhale, shake your hands out. Give them a nice little shake back down to the ground. Inhale, pinch and pull it up. You should feel that across the whole front of the forearm. Exhale, shake it up. And if your feet are talking to you, that's normal. Try one more. Inhale, pull it up. Pinch, pinch, pinch. Exhale, shake it up. Walk those hands back forward. Point the toes. Tap out the tops of the feet to the ground. And then just give your legs one stretch at a time, bringing the foot behind you. Okay, so this next pose is called Tiger Claws pose. And this is actually something that we use in martial arts to help strengthen the hands and the feet. I might turn myself so you can see this. Now, again, you are going to just pace yourself. It can be intense, but it shouldn't be painful. So from tabletop pose, we'll start with the left hand. I'm going to turn your face forward so you have a visual. So I'm going to try to mirror you then. My brain's going to have to work. So we'll start with our left hand. What you do is you spread the 5 fingers of the left hand and you flip the palm up to the ceiling, and I'm placing the back of my left hand right underneath my chest to the ground. Now your right hand is supporting you right now. So for some of us, this might be plenty, okay? It's that big counter. And we want all 4 fingers and the thumb to touch the ground, right? So normally we do this extension of the wrist. This is really strong flexion of the wrist. And my fingers are turned inward. So the thumb is pointing forward. Yeah, We got that? Okay. If you want more, please be kind to your wrists. You take your right hand, you stack it palm to palm on top of the left hand. Now what you do with the fingers is they're flared, so the fingers aren't stacked, but the thumbs are. So when your hand, bottom hand is down, the palm is up, fingers are turned in. Top, palm to palm. Flare your fingers though, so your top hand, the fingertips should be on the ground, and your thumbs are stacked. So now all your weight is in that left wrist getting stretched. Now there's one more thing you can do here, and you're only gonna do it if it feels good. It's a little crazy. You're gonna tuck your toes under, and you can lift up and back in a downward facing dog. Now that's really intense, and unless you can try it. Doesn't feel good, you just come back out. Wherever we are, try one more breath. If you're lifted, exhale, come back to the knees. Now look, before we release this pose, keep your left hand down on the ground. Take your right hand back off to the side. You can be in your fingertips or a fist or a flat palm. So we're still working with the left hand. From here, this is the tiger's claw portion of it. Keep your thumb down, curl your forefingers in towards your palm. And then inhale, open the fingers back up to touch the ground. Exhale, curl your forefingers towards the palm. The thumb stays down. Inhale, open. One more. Exhale, curl those forefingers in. Inhale, open. Now carefully float your left hand from the floor. Try to sit back on your heels and just dangle the hand from the wrist. Don't try to really do any movements with that left hand that we just worked. Just let it dangle. Bring both arms up. Start wiggling the fingers. Make two fists. Do some rolling action one direction. Reverse. Roll your wrists the other way. Interweave all 10 fingers. Pretend you're trying to pull your hands apart, but don't let them go anywhere. Flip your palms forward, pull the belly in, exhale, and out. And the whole time I'm in my broken toe pose, you can be in whatever seated pose you want. Inhale, float those arms up overhead. Big stretch for the shoulders. Release your hands and exhale, float and wiggle them all the way down. And you can do your little rolling wrists down towards the ground as well. All right, we got a taste of what that feels like. So now we know the math. We're gonna try the other side. So right hand, you take the back of the right hand, spread your fingers and thumb as wide as possible, and you place the back of the hand to the ground right underneath the chest. The fingers are turned sideways, so the thumb is actually pointing forward. Your left hand is supporting the weight of the body, right? So your left hand is seeing how much work it needs to do, whether on your fingertips, a fist, or a flat palm. And again, it might be very different from one hand, one wrist to the next. So don't assume you'll do everything on this side that you just did on the first side. Those of us that want more, all 5 fingers in the right hand are touching the ground, the backs of the knuckles. Take the left hand, palm to palm, but flare the fingertips. So the fingers are fanned. So the backs of the knuckles of the right hand are touching and the fingertips of the left hand are touching the ground. Thumbs and palms are stacked. And now I'm pushing down, good. And if and when you want to try that lift up, tuck your toes under, float your hips up and back and downward facing dog. It might not be quite the same down dog that you get with both hands. Oh, I haven't done this one in a while. Keep breathing. Those of us lifted up, inhale. The exhale is going to bring us back down to our knees. Now keep your right hand down. Don't bring it up off the ground yet. Bring your left hand back off to the side for a little bit of support. Keep the back of the hand and the thumb touching. Exhale, curl up the forefingers of the hand towards the palm. Inhale, open them as wide as you can, touch the knuckles to the ground. Exhale, curls those fingertips up to the palm. Inhale, open. One more time. And then you'll inhale, open. Again, we'll try to sit back on the heels, so my toes are flexed behind me, broken toe pose. You're gonna float that right hand up and just dangle it. Don't try to move it, just let it dangle for a moment, taking the pressure out of it. Bring both hands up, wiggle the fingers. Make your rolling, so you have two fists, you're gonna roll one direction. Reverse, roll in the other direction. Interweave 10 fingers, pretend like you're trying to pull your hands apart. Breathe it in. Exhale, presses palms forward, gently round the back. Inhale, float those arms overhead. Open the chest and the shoulders. Open the hands. Exhale, either trickle your fingertips down or roll it down. I know those feet are talking to us. All right, so we should get a nice big stretch for the wrists. Walk those hands back forward. Let's tuck those toes under. Lift it up, downward facing dog. So we're gonna do a little funky movement. I do want us to do Padangustasana. We've been working on this pose, but we'll try to approach it from downward facing dog and see if it does anything different for our bodies today. So I do want you to walk your feet a little closer together. We'll bend the knees towards the ground and you'll walk your hands back towards you as you drop the hips back down to your heels. So you're balancing up on your tippy toes. We're in this toe stand, Padangustasana. Remember, if this doesn't work for your knees, feel free to take yourself into Uttanasana, forward fold. We'll all catch up there in a moment. Those of us exploring some balance work here, strengthening those feet, squeeze your knees together. Try to float up on your fingertips. If you have props next to you, you can pull those in for support. The next stage is to draw that low belly in and bring your palms to your thighs. Turns into a challenging balancing pose. And then we try to bring our hands to our heart. Woo. Big stretch for those legs. And then we try to stretch the arms parallel to the floor, reaching the fingertips straight forward. Big challenge. Inhale. You don't have to do this. We'll catch up and forward fold in a second. You try to lean backwards, which I know I will not be able to do. Squeeze your knees and come up, 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 up on your tippy toes. And then reach up to the ceiling. Everything's stretching up. On the exhale, drop your heels to the ground, micro bend your knees, hinge from the hips, and we'll catch up in our forward fold. So remember, if you're modifying for that low back, bend your knees and plant your elbows or even your hands on your thighs. If we're down in Uttanasana, we just did all that wrist work, try to dangle your arms from the shoulders and hands from the arms. Prance your legs, release the shoulders, the head and the neck. But remember, our feet and our legs are super strong. Little back work on our inhale, our halfway lift. So your hands will come under your shins or even higher. Open the chest, pull your shoulder blades onto your back and look slightly forward. Exhale to your forward fold, whatever that looks like for you. Inhale, halfway lift. Squeeze that upper back. Exhale, fold. One more. Inhale halfway. If you want to add those locust arms, float those arms up beside you, palms in. And then we'll sit it back into Utkatasana. Take a breath in, floating your arms forward and up. So if we moved our feet around, we want to make sure the feet are back into their neutral position. Pull the low belly in. Shrug the shoulders from the ears. Option to bring hands to heart. And you're sinking down into this pose. Try to pick your toes up here. So we're going to do a different little balance today. I want you to try to lift your heels up again in Utkatasana. So we're down in the squat. Now your knees must be facing your toes. Now drop the heels down. Try to lift the toes up. Try one foot at a time. So you're trying to bring the toes, and the ball of the foot up. So I'm on my heels. And you might, for a second, do a little dance. And see if you can tighten up the front of the legs and balance on your heels. And then bring the feet back to the floor, sink a little lower. Inhale, breathing, draw that big circle with your fingertips. Straighten the legs, reach out to the sides and all the way up. Heels up, tippy toes, palms touch. Exhale to heart. One more time, palm tree pose. Inhale, rise up. Reach, 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 tippy toes. Exhale, bring it down. All right, so let's come into one big standing pose here, our Prasarita Padottanasana. So if you have props, yoga blocks, or books, you will probably have to turn yourself on your mat as well so that you're facing the long edge of your mat, because we will open up into our wide neutral position. I've been starting with the seat of a chair to give me a little bit more support for my low back. So when we go into this pose, sometimes the most challenging part is coming back up out of the pose. So the chair helps support me so my low back doesn't take all the stress. Placing the props in front of you, opening the legs nice and wide. Extend those arms out straight from the shoulders, head is floating on the shoulders. Now we start with those feet parallel to each other. So you're pointing your toes straight forward, and we should be equally weighted in the feet. So the mound of the big toe inner heel, mound of the pinky toe outer heel. We want to avoid rolling and collapsing at the ankles. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, grab a hold of your hips. Now we want to avoid hyperextending the low back. So I'm not over-exaggerating my chest here. I do want to lead with the chest, but I should still be able to bring front body to back body. And we want to turn our toes in at this point. So turn the toes slightly in, internally rotating the thigh bones. Draw the belly in. Pelvic floor can be lifting. Inhale. On the exhale, take your pelvis, you're hinging from those hips, and start to come forward. Now, even if you have a little micro bend in the knees, that's okay. We don't want to jam our knees backwards, and your quads should be engaged. Feel like you're trying to pull your knees up to your thighs. The more you can engage your front of the legs, the more you'll be able to stretch out the back. You come about halfway, check in. And then the breath might take us a little further into this pose. So those of you going down towards the ground, I usually recommend staying up on your fingertips, that Hatha Bandha, so we don't shift all our weight through the arms into the hands. Contract the abdominal muscles, drawing the belly a little closer to the thighs. You might be able to walk your hands back in line with your feet, fingertips in line with the toes, bend your elbows back. And if you're in that inversion now, you'll either keep your drishti right underneath the tip of the nose, purposeful compression in the back of the neck, or you may release the head, looking between the legs. We all want to continue to pull the shoulders away from the ears and just enjoy this nice big stretch up the backs of those legs and inner thighs. Let's take one more breath. Next inhale, we'll come up about halfway. So you'll either walk your fingertips forward, back underneath the shoulders, lift the chest, use your props. Make sure you're using the strength of your legs and your core. Exhale one hand at a time to your hips. And then big breath in through the nose to float up through the crown of the head. Inhale, inhale, inhale. Once the head comes up, try to inhale even more and reach your arms out and up. On the exhale, bring the palms to touch and lower the hands to the heart. We're going to keep this wider stance, but what I want us to do, our toes are turned in. I want you to turn your heels in now so your toes are out about 45. That also means that your knees need to be turning towards the toes. So you got to really compact outer knee to outer hip. Give your glutes a little squeeze. Inhale, those arms out into a V, head is relaxed. Exhale, Kalyasana. You're going to drop your hips straight down, knees to toes, bend at the elbows. Inhale, press the ground away from you, reach back up into our star pose. Exhale, you're trying to slide down an invisible wall, pull your shoulder blades, strengthen that back. Inhale up. Next exhale, we're going to bring it down and hold, so keep breathing. Either take chin mudra in the hands, index finger to thumb, or if you want to do your clenching thumb mudra we've been practicing, our mudra of security and stability, because we're going to practice some balance work here. And if that's too much for the shoulders, hands to heart, okay? Try to pick up one heel, strengthening those feet. Try the other heel. Continue to alternate or both heels up. Low belly is in, sinking down. Knees to toes, strong back. Head is happy and relaxed. Notice the breath. You really want to mix it up. Try closing your eyes. Be safe. Little blinks. You should feel that power and strength. It changes everything, I know. Now look, inhale, you can stay up on your tippy toes. Release your arms softly overhead. Exhale, draw a big loosey-goosey circle. So now we're just undoing some of that purposeful tension we created to strengthen our muscles. Now we're just trying to loosen all the joints up. Inhaling, exhaling. One more. One more inhale to reach up, 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 tippy toes maybe. Bring the palms to touch. Exhale, drop the heels and the hands to the heart. Heel toe, little closer together. We'll do one more little balance work here since we're focusing on that stability. So my feet are a little wider than my normal Tadasana, so just maybe the actual outer hip distance. Hands can be at heart. Let's do our floating star pose. So we'll lean to the right. We'll start to lift and lower the toes of the left foot. Arms, again, soft. Now, if we do want to add a little movement today, we can incorporate crane pose and our floating pose. In crane pose, again, your fingers are just hanging. This is a nice way to release the wrists as well. Inhale, pull the left knee up in front of the body, and your arms float up. You're bent a little bit at the elbows and the wrists, like the wings of a bird. Exhale. Hover or touch. Two more. Inhaling, crane pose. The foot is just dangling. The fingertips are just dangling. Exhale. One more. Now on this next exhale, we will land as gracefully as possible, like a crane landing on the surface of the water. Pause in Tadasana. Just feel, notice the body and the breath. Keep your eyes very focused on one spot. Turn the palms out. Inhale, reach up. Palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart. Lean to the left. So lower bandhas can be working. Did we forget about the pelvic floor? Probably. Give it a little squeeze. You can always be toning and lifting up to the pelvic floor. I read an article and they said that we should actually do 60 to 100, sometimes they call them Kegels and other areas, a day to maintain that pelvic floor health. For both men and women, it's very important. Now try to hover the foot, relax the arms, see how soft you can get. Choose to stay here or 3 times with the breath, crane pose. Dangle the fingertips and the toes. The inhale floats the arms out. Little bend at the elbows and the knee up. Exhale, touch or hover. 2 more. Nice, smooth breath. Next exhale, we land as softly as possible. Try not to create too many ripples in the water. Tadasana, pause. No unnecessary movements, keep your focus. Take a nice deep breath in, and then exhale, soften. Okay, so we are gonna come down back to forward fold, and I'm gonna give us one more option. This is called Hastasana, I think, which hasta means hand. Hasta, hand. That's an easier Sanskrit word to remember. Clear space if needed. This is going to be another component of this really deep flexion of the wrist to counter all that extension that we do. We won't force it. We'll see what happens. Some of us might not even get to our feet today. So we'll start with our feet parallel to each other. Nice strong feet, ground through the 4 corners. We want to unlock those knees. So instead of jamming your knees backwards, soften. Feel like you're trying to pull your kneecaps up. Lengthen the upper buttock to the ground. Lift up through the pelvic floor, lower abdominals, float the head on top of the shoulders. Now, inhale, reach your arms up to the ceiling. Exhale, bring your hands back onto those hips. This is where the movement is. There's no rounding down. We got to get the movement at the hips. So I do want to lead with the heart, but remember, don't hyperextend and overarch the low back. From here, little micro bend in the knees to start. Exhale, you're going to start to move into your forward fold. So some of us, again, might be modifying. You're welcome to just stay halfway. And morning time, so I don't know if I'll be able to demo this pose. It feels really wonderful though. At least I think it does. And we can get into it. So Hastasana, we're folding forward into forward fold, Uttanasana. Now here's the trick. You're gonna try to pick up your feet, your toes, and slide one hand at a time under the feet. The palms are up. So I'm bending my knees quite deeply because I wanna get this nice wrist massage. So my hands are underneath the soles of my feet. My toes are kneading into my wrist creases. So I'm massaging those wrists with my toes. And I have my knees deeply bent, belly towards the thighs. Pull your shoulders away from your ears. Now, some of you might be able to try to straighten out the legs, and that's great. Strong core, pelvic floor. We need a little adrenaline rush today. Pick one heel up at a time. There is an option to try to pick both heels up, but realize you are glued to the ground, so that's a trust exercise with you and your body. Try to take one more breath. Inhale, float the head up, take your hands out, halfway lift, fingertips to the floor, the shins are higher, lift the chest, stretch out that low back. This exhale, we're gonna bring ourselves back down. So we might have moved around. If we need to reorganize ourselves, we're gonna come back to downward facing dog. I should have had you turn, I forgot. So if you are turned around, sorry about that. I moved myself. So we're in downward facing dog. Let's just catch up here. Shrug those shoulders from the ears, pedal your heels one at a time. And since we're all here together on a Sunday morning, next inhale, let's move it forward into our plank. So you could be in kneeling plank, you could be in forearm plank. So this is that really big extension we normally do with the wrist. So all those other poses we did today for the hands helps counter this, but this is a great pose to tone and strengthen. Pull that low belly in, compact those hips, the glutes can assist. Crown of the head extends forward, don't let that head drop. Smile and breathe. We already did almost 30 seconds. Press the ground away from you. Let's take one more big breath in. One more big breath out. And then inhale, press those hips back up to the ceiling. Exhale, shift your weight back down through the heels. Downward facing dog. Inhale, heels up. Stretch out those toes. Exhale, drop the knees. Child's pose. Keep the feet and knees together for the more traditional version. This is a bigger stretch for the back, at least for me, because it's farther for my head to get to the ground. Slide your hands back towards those feet. Drop the head towards the ground. Now either just dangle the weight of the arms down, release the shoulders, or if you're back there, take your hands and start massaging into the soles of the feet, the inner outer arches, even a little rock across the forehead. And then hands under the shoulders, tuck the chin, inhale, we'll round it up. So once we come into our seated pose, we're just gonna transition either hip, and we're gonna come right back down into our backs because I wanted us to get our nice big hamstring stretch in today. So we will do that. If you happen to have a yoga strap, that would be ideal. You can find that. If you don't, use a long scarf. If you don't have the scarf, taking a towel, folding it lengthwise in half, and tightly rolling it up will do the trick, okay? So to come onto our backs, low back people, we use our hands, we walk ourselves down. Those of you that want to do a little bit more of this abdominal work, have space behind you. Plant the soles of the feet to the floor, the knees fall open. Now this is rounding of the back. So I'm scooping the tail under, hollowing out my belly, contracting those abdominals, reaching my fingertips forward. I'm trying to round down, vertebra by vertebra. So I'm rolling through the low back, the lumbar spine, the mid back, the shoulders, the back of the head. Once we all catch up on the ground, take the long body stretch. Straighten your legs out, spread the fingers, reach your arms overhead, flex those feet. Exhale, float the arms down, walk your feet in. Adjust the clothing, align the head in line with the spine, hug your knees in, rock out the back. So we'll just do our next pose. We won't hold it as long as we normally do, but we'll still get a nice stretch and opening for the legs. So drop the feet back to the floor, close to the sit bones. Right side first. Take a hold of that strap. Place it near the lower arch of the foot, closer to the heel. Straighten that leg up as straight as you can. That means some of us might have to let the leg fall away from us a little bit. Hold the strap in both hands so the chest stays open. Looping the strap around the hands is a nice option. And then pressing that heel up into the ceiling. Opening up the eye of the knee, back of the leg. More stretch. Slide your left heel forward. That left leg anchors to the ground and that foot is actively flexing. Low back is secure. So tight hamstrings do wreak havoc on our low back. So if you have low back issues, you gotta stretch your hamstrings every day. Once that leg is straight, if you wanna gently try to guide it a little closer towards the body, feel free. One more breath. And now right hand holds on to the strap. Left hand on top of the left hip to secure it to the ground. Bend your right elbow, that's gonna be our kickstand. Try to bring the right thigh bone up and then out. So you might need to bend the knee almost to 90 degrees first, then try to re-extend. Left side stays anchored, so squeeze your left side to hold it to the ground. Your right hand is doing all the work. Left arm may reach out from the shoulder, head may turn to the left. Both feet actively flexed, toes are spread, receiving that nice big stretch up the inner thigh, the growing muscle. Inhale, head and leg come up. Switch hands. Leg is straight, cross it at the midline. Pulling your right hip back down for more dynamic stretch. Move that foot around up there in space till you get into that wonderful area that needs a little work possibly. Massage, punch into those muscles. Keep your shoulders grounded. And then taking this into our twist, we will allow the right hip to come up at this point. Bend the left elbow. Left elbow's our kickstand, left hand does the work. Right hip can come up, the leg probably will not touch the ground. Sink your right shoulder down, right arm out, head turns to the right. Close the eyes, let it go. Relax, except for the hand that's doing the work. Try to let everything else relax. Our next inhale will bring the head and the leg back up to neutral. Open that strap up, slide the left foot in and up. Pause and waterfall pose. Coming back into alignment here. And then we'll bring the right foot to the floor. The strap is closer to the lower arch of the left foot, nearer the heel. Straighten that leg as much as possible, even if that means letting the leg fall away from the body. Keep the hands open. Press that heel up towards the ceiling, opening the eye of the knee. More intensity, slide the right heel forward, push that right heel forward, flex that right foot, anchor the right leg to the ground. You can gently try to draw left leg a little closer using your breath. Left hand holds onto the strap, right hand on top of the hip. Keep your right side down, back flat. Try to get your left thigh bone closer to the body, even if that means bending your knee first. Bend the left elbow, drop it out there. Keep tension on the belt. Left hand's gonna do the work here. As you open the leg up, stretching the inner thigh growing. Feel that stretch all the way across the front of the pelvis and the pubic bone. Right side is very active. Right arm may reach out, head may turn to the right. Sink the shoulders, relax the face, just breathe. And on the inhale, the head and the leg will come up. Right hand holds on. Left hip stays down to get into this IT band and outer hip. Angling the straight leg just a few degrees over the midline. Move around in that space till you find the area that you can massage or punch into. Relax the face. And then moving into our twist, right elbow to the ground, keep tension on the belt, leg doesn't necessarily touch. Left hip can come up, left shoulder stays down. Left arm out, look to the left, close the eyes and let it go. Inhale, breathing. When you get there, bring the head and the leg back up. Open that strap up. Right foot floats in and up. Pause and waterfall pose. Breathe it in. On our exhale, bend the knees. Release the strap off to the ground. Cross one ankle on top of the other. Let the weight of the legs fall into the body. Extend the arms straight up to the ceiling, and one more time, flop your fingers forward, relax the hands completely, dead bug pose. Switch the cross at the ankles, take one more deep breath. Uncross those ankles, now try to reach the arms across the shin bones, head can float up, nose to knees, giving our body that nice big hug. Stretching out the whole backside. Breathe it in. And exhale, we get to let it go. All right, got a lot in today. Now is the most important time for us to relax so that we can absorb all the benefits of our practice. If you're comfortable right here, connected to the ground, stay here. Bend those knees up, let them fall together for low backs. Roll the arm bones out away from the body, palms up, fingertips curl up naturally. Continuing with the legs and the feet, we can also bring the soles of the feet to touch and knees open in Baddha Konasana, or stretch those legs out into Shavasana. If you have your blankets and pillows near you and you want to add that extra support for the body, please do. We want to make ourselves as comfortable as possible so that we are able to relax as much as possible. And there is effort put into this pose. This is a pose we practice. Sometimes the most challenging pose of our practice. So we'll take a moment to get organized in our space with our props. Use your eye coverings. I'll do a little bit more guided relaxation. Give us several moments of peace and quiet. And then I'll bring us out with a singing bowl to finish our practice together today. Once we've found our space, we've organized our shoulders, our arms, our legs, let's find the very back center of the skull. Smooth the skin of the forehead and brow. Let those eyes sink into the sockets. Poof the cheeks with air, wiggle out the mouth, the tongue, and jaw. Relax the throat. Softening the heart, the chest, down into the belly. Relax all of the abdominal muscles. Feel the weight of the arms and relax all the bones in the arms. Let the bones get heavy. Drop them into the ground. Relax down the back, sinking the low back into the earth. Relax the larger muscles of the buttocks, the hips and hip sockets. all the way down the legs. Feel the weight of the bones in the legs, the thigh bones, the bones in the lower legs, all the little bones in the feet and the toes. Notice all the contact points with the body and the ground. And relax those points 10% more. Relaxing the whole body. The breath is easy and quiet. The seed mantra associated with this lower half of the body is the mantra LAM, L-A-M, LAM. Other mantras are I am grounded, I am safe, I am secure. If the mind wanders, gently bring it back to the peaceful breath, or mentally repeat one of these mantras over and over again, giving ourselves just one more moment to let go, to relax, and to feel grounded, safe, and secure. Before we move the body, simply observe the weight of the body and the connection of the body with the ground below. Notice the subtle breath of the body in and out through the nose. And then breathing life back into our body as we wake up the toes, the fingers, or rock of the head side to side. Roll those wrists and ankles. Inhale, reaches the arms overhead, stretching long and tall on our mat. Giving our right side a nice stretch. The left side. And then inhale as much air as we can and create as much space in the whole body, spreading those fingers and toes. Exhale, floats the arms down, walks the feet in. Draw the knees into the body to rock out the low back. Right arm falls beside the head. We roll and pause on our side and Supta Balasana for a moment. And then keeping the eyes closed or soft, take the top hand to the ground, stretch the top leg out to help the body come up. We'll revisit any comfortable seated pose and take just a couple more nice breaths together before we go on with the rest of our day. So let's sit up tall on those sit bones, lengthen up through the crown of the head, being mindful of our surroundings, extend the arms out beside the body, palms up. Inhale, breathing, reach those arms all the way up to the ceiling and let's gather up all that good stuff we need for the rest of our day. Turn those palms out, exhale, float the fingertips all the way back down to the ground and letting go of all that other junk we don't need today. And one more breath together, inhaling, reach up, palms touch, exhale, hands to heart, bow the head humbly to the heart to honor and thank ourselves, our bodies, each other, and remembering to be grateful to anyone else that made it possible for us to connect and practice our yoga together today. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om, peace, peace, peace. And I thank you all so, so much for joining me this morning. Another beautiful day out there. Thank you for the suggestions. That was fun. I haven't done some of those things in a long time. It's funny. You don't think about it, and then someone makes you think about it, and you remember something. So
really appreciated it, Joanne.
Yeah, how'd that feel for you?
It liberated my wrists. Really, really, really good stuff.
Those are really good. They're intense. I mean, have you ever done that one before? The tiger claw thing?
No, and I really liked it a lot.
You can do those just, sitting on the ground, gentle. Well, you can't see me, but gentle press.
Yeah.
You can go up to a wall and press the backs of your hands into a wall. Another really great thing to do, if you have something that's secure, maybe like a deck railing or something, hold on to it with one hand and lean out, and it decompresses and help pulls your wrist. But this is good. And that's not...
I find I need this a lot, and I need this one a lot.
This is great too. I know, right? You can feel it all the way up.
Yeah, that's always very nasty.
I know, we do all this texting and all kinds of...
But it has a big effect on the upper back and the shoulder,
Absolutely, absolutely.
When you're stuck in your wrists like that. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Very good stuff. Love it.
You are so welcome.
Bye-bye, everybody.
We'll see you next week, Karen. Will we see you next week?
Hopefully. I'm in my last week, so depends what the kids want to do. You will see me somewhere in the week. And then you'll see me from Paris.
Okay.
Exciting. I will be back Wednesday evening at 6, so that's when you'll see me next. So we'd love to have you at least for one more class, Karen.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, Joanne. Richard says thank you too.
Nice to meet you.
Nice. Hi. Thanks for joining us.
Enjoyed it very much.
Really
Thank
great
you.
class. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Gay. So good to see you.
Thanks, Joanne. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Enjoy the rest of the beautiful day.
You too. Thanks.
Kathy, good to see
Bye,
you.
Joanne. Thank
Bye,
you.
Nancy.
Bye.
We'll see you soon.